are working our way through book 2 of the Yoga Sutras. And we're on Sutra 2.5 today. No, I'm sorry, we're on Sutra 2.6 today. So a little bit of background before I read what this sutra has to teach us. In book 2, we started out by saying, or learning, that life is suffering, that we have to accept pain, but if we study spiritual books and accept pain and surrender, it's not so bad. And what book 2 is talking about is that there are these obstacles to peace, things that get in our way of peace of mind, permanent peace, samadhi, all of the things that offer hope and solace. And today's obstacle to peace is the ego. So this is what Swami Satchidananda says is the translation of Sutra 2.6. He says, egoism is the identification, as it were, of the power of the seer with that of the instrument of seeing. So seer, S-E-E-R, I love this word. I've a long time understood it as just kind of the wise one, the seer. But as I've studied yoga and kind of peeled back a little bit more, what it is to see the nature of things, like this word has taken on new meaning for me. It's the seer, the one who actually sees the nature of reality. So the seer, which translates as Purusha in Sanskrit, Swami Satchidananda calls the capital I version of I. So me, I, self. Capital I version, the highest self, is the seer or the Purusha. And he says our suffering comes when we mistake that capital I version of the self with the smaller self, or the lowercase I version of the self. So when we identify with all of the experiences we have and how we interpret them through our ego and our interactions with other people, we get confused and we think that's reality. And so the practices of yoga are to kind of clear up that confusion, clean the lens, and help us see what's really real. As I was sitting this morning, I had this awareness of a situation that I have been in for the last few years. So I'll share it because I think it helped me kind of put this into context of something in my life. Maybe it'll help you as well. I have a associate, a friend is a word that I would use, somebody that I feel friendly towards, who I've known for years and has come to the studio. And several years ago, my husband did some work for this person. And during that process, they got into a disagreement. Each saw things differently. And it ended up that they decided to stop the relationship that they had as far as the work that they were doing. And I was outside of all of it, but I was a witness to what was going on. And I didn't interfere because I do my best not to do that. It's just, somebody else's relationship and experience. But I felt it strongly. And when I was around this person who I usually felt really easygoing around, I just got really uncomfortable. And so this is somebody that I used to see and give them a hug and just talk to them and feel really kind of simpatico with. And after this happened between these other people, I just felt really uncomfortable. And I made up this story in my head that this person was mad at me. Like, this person doesn't like me. This person's upset that they got in this situation, and maybe it was because they knew me. And I had this whole story about what this person thought about me. And it created this distance when I was around them. I was like, oh, like I feel really weird. And so I started avoiding them, and just like, it just felt yucky. So I haven't really thought about this in a long time, but I was talking to somebody this week about this person who's a good human being. And I said, things got a little bit weird between me and this person. And as I was telling the story, it came to me that I think that person was actually embarrassed by how they handled the situation. And that gave me a whole different way of seeing kind of how things were between us. Like, maybe this person doesn't dislike me. Maybe they're just embarrassed by how it went, kind of like I am. And I don't have any way of knowing what they feel. All I have is this version in my head of what happened, and this version of how I behave around this person because of something that's just totally made up. Like, we've never actually had a conversation about it. It's just always been just an energetic thing between us. And I share this not, like for a solution or suggestions on like, well, maybe you should try this or that. Because really, like, the thing that's interesting to me is that after time and some reflection, I was like, oh, really? I have no idea what happened. I have no idea. Like, I have my version of the truth, and it's probably not even close to what really is going on. But I'm acting on my version of the truth, and I'm creating my own suffering, and who knows if I'm creating suffering for others. And they may not even feel anything. They might just be going through their life like, yeah, everything's great. And I think we do that all the time, right? So like, our smaller self gets uncomfortable or has an experience, and then the ego gets into a whole story about what happened and what it meant, what it means about the future. And it's not real. And sometimes it just takes time for us to kind of step away from the intensity of whatever it is that we're feeling. Sometimes it takes actively going into it in the moment. And I think our meditation practice is an opportunity for us to work with some of these things. I don't do it all the time when I'm meditating, like kind of delve into the things that are troubling me, but sometimes it's a nice opportunity to say, okay, like, let's dig in a little bit and get curious about what's real. What am I putting on? What's actually real? So I'm going to invite us into a little bit of that today. And here's just an offering. Some days are good for inquiry work, a little digging in, and some days are not. Right? Some days we're a little too tender to really do the hard work. And so if you're in a tender place today, nobody's going to know what you're doing in your head, right? You could recite your mantra. You could count your breath. I want you to do what makes you good. And if today's not a good day for you to kind of work with something that's challenging, you don't have to do it. But if you're feeling clear and solid and you're like, there's this thing that I haven't really put too much attention on, maybe today's a good day to put attention on something like that. So I'm going to invite us to begin by taking our seat, physical seat. Feet. If you're in a chair and you can plant your feet firmly, that's always a nice way to feel grounded. If you're sitting on a cushion or something else, just giving yourself permission to settle onto whatever's supporting you. If you haven't closed your eyes and you'd like to, go ahead and close your eyes. And then take a few moments to just sense into the physical experience of being here. Feel your breath in your body. Most of us have a place in our body where we feel tension or dis-ease, like a tightness or an emptiness. Sometimes it's present, sometimes it's not. I invite you today to just scan top to bottom, side to side. Notice if there's any lack of ease in your body. Give yourself permission to rest your attention in that place. For me, it's the center of my chest, typically. It's like either a heaviness or a emptiness. You might feel it in your throat or your belly. Maybe there's nothing there today. Maybe it's clear. Whatever is there, just give yourself permission to be with it, whether it's clarity or tightness. Just be with what's right here. And give yourself permission to investigate a little bit at a physical level. The size or the sensation that you're aware of. If there's a situation in your life that might be related to what you're feeling, just give yourself permission to go into what happened. What happened? Maybe there's a conversation you remember. Or something that wasn't said. Notice if any of the story is made up, not real. If you exaggerated any of the story, maybe offer yourself a half smile. If there's another human involved in this situation, picture them in your mind's eye. Cultivate a little curiosity about their experience, what it was like for them. Consider that you don't know. You really don't know. Perhaps they're also just looking for some peace, some ease in the world. Maybe they're like a dog with a foot in a trap, scared, maybe hurting. And the story tells us that if we go near the dog with its foot in the trap, it might bite us. Or maybe we're the dog and we're trapped and we're scared. And maybe that other person wants to help us. bring your attention to the place in your body where you put your attention when we started. Notice what's there. Breathe into it. Breathe space into what might be tight. I don't know. Can you feel any sense of freedom from I don't know? Come back to the breath. Just the breath. And now take a bigger breath. And a second big breath. When you're ready, open your eyes. Thoughts, insights, questions? So if you're feeling really stuck, I recommend that you do what my dog does. Shake it off. Well, that's how yoga works, right? Like sometimes we're really stuck and we just gotta go move the energy.
I think Taylor Swift shakes it off too.
Oh, yes. Well, we learn from the best. All right. Well, take care, you guys.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
You're
Me
welcome.
too. Thank you. Bye, everybody.